Comedian Nazareth, and thank you so much for joining me this Tuesday in a hot Corona, California. And so good to be back with you guys. If you are one of our fans from the Live with Naz show every weeknight, you have noticed I haven't been around for a while. Number one, I've been traveling. Number two, I had family over from overseas, my brother, who I haven't seen in 3 years. So he's here in town with his wife and daughter. So I've been spending time when I'm not out of town. So we have been putting that not on hiatus, but I'm to sneak in a couple nights a week or one night a week until we get back to normal. So this is what happened last few weeks. I hurt my neck. If you see me stiff, I hurt my neck doing lifting weights like I love to do, and I haven't been able to do that. Number two, I celebrated my 26-year anniversary, which was great, but we didn't do much because we have family over from overseas. So we just went to dinner, me and my lovely 26 years together, 27 actually, because we got engaged for a year. And then 5 days after that, because I met her 5 days later, I asked her to marry me. So I knew her for 27 years and 5 days. So anyway, that's what happened. And then last Thursday, I flew into Tennessee, and I was on the Huckabee show for the second time. And it's really neat. I love this man. He's a great guy. Now, some of you go, oh, politically, I don't agree with him. I don't like, you know what? Johnny Carson been on for 30 years. There's so many artists that have been on this show with him. You know, you don't have to agree with someone. I'm not saying I agree or disagree with everything or not anything but you know what I mean? What I'm saying is he's a Christian man. He loves the Lord, and I'm in agreement with that. And also, I love the man. He's a great, great, nice guy. Also, I got to meet Kathy Lee Gifford, who's a wonderful, wonderful. She was on the Today Show, and she produces and directs movies, and she's singing and acting, just very active. And also Robert Kiyosaki, the author of Rich Dad, Poor Dad, which I recommend to every young man. I bought one for my son, and I had him read it. It's a great book for anyone to read, Rich Dad, Poor Dad. So I got to meet Robert, nice guy, and I got to meet the Secretary of State for the state of West Virginia. Great guy, Mac Warner. He's a great guy. Served in the military. Him and all his kids, his daughter and his sons, served in the military, and just a great, great man. So it's always nice to be there. Then then I flew in Saturday morning, 3 in the morning, people. I got back from the Huckabee show at 11. I was so pumped up. Every comedian gets pumped up after a show, and I couldn't sleep. At 3 in the morning, I was in the limo going to the airport, and I got to share the good news with the driver. Praise God. And also, I went to Missouri, and I got to perform at Church on the Rock in St. Peter's. It's a mega church. And Saturday, we did a Saturday. There were, I don't know how many hundreds and hundreds of people were there. And when I ended up the show, they were laughing hard. And half of the church is African American, half of the church is Caucasian, and it's just a beautiful mix in that church. And then at the end, they were like, I don't know how many young people came forward to receive Christ. It was so moving. And then Sunday morning, 9 and 11, I got to share the gospel, do comedy. And of course, I did a message. And then at the end, more people came forward to receive Jesus. So I'm on cloud nine. I'm happy. And this Friday and Saturday and Sunday, I will be in Washington, D.C. And next week, I'll be in Toronto, Canada for a week for a wedding. So anyway, enough of me. Let's get to our guest, because I met this young lady at the CCA, the Christian Comedy Association. It's funny how people can be working and you don't know what they're doing. You don't hear their names and stuff. But when I saw her and I met her and I went home and I looked at online, I'm like, she's everywhere. She does all these big events, the corporates and all that. I'm going to give her a proper introduction since she's been waiting here. Dorie is a comedian, storyteller, and joy bringer who believes that caffeine is keeping her alive. Hey, me too. Popcorn should have its own food group. Dry cleaning saves marriages. Yes, it does. And that true joy comes from knowing we're worthy of God's love in the middle of all our imperfections. Oh, okay. She has been speaking and performing stand up comedy since '06 for audiences coast to coast and around the globe. Who else can say they have performed on a stage in a Chick-fil-A parking lot and for a group of Syrian refugees? Wow, not many people. Uh, Speaking of refugees, tomorrow I'm going back to meet with my staff at the Voice of the Refugees and be able to encourage them on their annual gathering. So I love it that she does events for refugees. Her real claim to fame: falling backwards out of a bathtub while washing her children and being featured on America's Funniest Videos, allowing herself to be publicly humiliated every time it reruns for no money whatsoever. All right, so let's welcome to the show my new friend, Dorie McLemore. Hello, Dorie.
Hi, how are you doing? It sounds like
I'm
you're busy.
sorry I took forever. I haven't been on behind the mic for about 2 days. That's why.
Oh, that is okay. I loved hearing about it. That's exciting. 26 years. That's a huge accomplishment.
It is. It's she. You're a comedian too, and you're married. How long you been married, Dorie?
We just celebrated our 25th this summer.
20.
So we're right behind you.
Okay, so I don't know. I think personally, this could sound bad, but because we travel,
Hmm.
our marriages are stronger because we miss we miss our spouses
That's a good point. Yeah.
and we can't wait to come home, and they miss us and they're not bored of us. And even
Yes.
if they're irritated with us, they have, or you're irritated with your spouse, because mostly, you get to you get to cool off a little bit and have time for yourself. Is that true for you?
Oh, yeah, I think so too. And my husband actually does a great job with the kids. I think he has a lot of fun when I'm gone because he just like does whatever he wants to do and doesn't have rules when I leave. So I'm like, well, I guess I'm the rule keeper. I don't think I am, but he has a lot of fun. He'll do a lot of fun things with the kids. So
Now you're funny. So what's some of the rules you have at home? I mean, as a real mother, a real wife, what is some of your rules? Maybe my house is normal too.
I don't have a lot of rules. I don't know how he's more rule like what it is he'll do crazy things with food when I'm gone. Like I feel like okay, we need to have dinner and stuff, and he'll just have like pancakes with Dr. Pepper made like in them. That's like he'll just be like, let's see what this tastes like, and I'm like that you fed that to the kids. And then one time I came home from a trip. And all of a sudden, I was in the airport and I feel wet. And I look down, and my little girl is hugging my legs in a wet bathing suit. He picked me up at the airport, didn't dress her. She's in a wet bathing suit. I don't even know. So when he's there, they wear costumes all the time. They don't get dressed. When they were little, now they don't wear costumes all the time. But when they were little,
but hey, he picked you up on time at the airport.
yeah. Yeah, so he was like, it's a win, but I'm like, she's wet, like in a wet bathing suit. So
That's funny. That's funny. And because sometimes I tell my wife, she goes, "I'll pick you up." I said, "Okay." I used to leave my car in the parking structure, and she goes, and then I land and I open, and thank God for Find My Friends. I look, she still didn't leave the house. I was like, "I just landed." She goes, "It's okay. By the time you come out, I'll be there." And then she'll be there, But I'm like, "Wait a minute, I've been gone. Don't they miss me or something?"
so they want to be right there when I get off the plane. Yeah. It is sad
Yeah.
to walk out and nobody's there. Like he's like, "Oh, I'm in the drive, area." I'm like, "No, get out of the car. Come
You know
see."
what Alan said, rule one, everyone does their own microwaving or starves. Good thing it's just me. Oh, he has his own rules. But let me ask you this. What's the longest time you've been gone, like on the road or on tour?
To be honest, I do a lot of like private events where I'm there and then back. Like so it's not like a long time. In fact, the most recent I was there at the CCA and I spoke at the CCA, but before that there were two shows leading up to the CCA, and I was gone like a week, and that was kind of a lot for comedy, but I spoke 3 times, and that was like, fine with him. He's fine. He's so supportive. He doesn't mind if I'm gone. So it's
when do you feel like, oh, I've been gone a lot. I need to come home. I need to be home. I'm tired of the.
If it's a lot of weekends in a row where it's like it's not local events, like if it's local events, I feel like I could do them anytime and not feel it. But if
Mhm.
it's a lot of weekends in a row, then I feel like I'm missing games or I'm missing, events that the kids are part of. It's like I missed my daughter's play. I didn't know that they had, now I think I saw one of the. I like to see all of them. If they do three shows, I see all three shows. But I missed one of the three, and I was frustrated. And she understood, but I was like, wow, I really don't like that. And that's the only time when I miss something that's big. I don't like that. So that's my time.
For a mother who travels, and I know, you're a comedian, but there's mothers who travel for work and for other things. What is one advice or something that you do? You feel this is good. This is a good thing I'm doing, or this is a good advice that I can give women who travel who have children.
Ah, that's really a good question. I was going to say bring them gifts, but I don't do that because so I was like, well, that would help. And I'm sure when my kids listen to this, they'll be like, that is a good idea. But I mean, I try to call, if something big is happening, I missed it. I try to call and ask about it or text them or something. And when I get home, I'm really like intentional about asking them about what happened while I was gone and get caught up. So, and I try to plan something like right away where it's like we're going to be together. So not every time, but like if it's a longer time for sure.
Have you ever said, "I hate my job. I hate my job"? Have you ever seen that?
I probably say it every time I'm about to go on stage and I feel sick to my stomach, and then I love it again. Like as soon as I get up there, I'm fine. But every time I get on stage, I'm like, you think this would wear off after what, 15, 16 years or whatever? It's like every time beforehand, I'm going to throw up. I feel disgust. I feel so nervous. And I'm like, why do I do this? Why do I do this? And then I get on stage and I'm like, this is why I do this. I love being able to do this. So it's
This is funny. I'm just seeing Cookie Polinsky. Do you know that person?
she's my mom.
That's your mom. Hey, Dory, it's your mom and dad. See,
Yeah.
they want to remind you because maybe you forgot that Cookie Polinsky is your mom and your dad. Now, you're funny, and I know you're funny, and because you came into CCA, you did a serious keynote, but we were laughing. So I know you're very funny. I've seen some of your, bits.
Thank you.
Now, where did you get that? Was it from mom? Was it from dad?
Well, you know what? We laugh about this because I have two sisters, and all three of us have some kind of comedic. Like my sister does sketch comedy. My other one is hilarious too, but she doesn't do it professionally. But it's just funny how we all are funny. But my dad's an engineer. My mom was a realtor. Like we never really. But my parents always celebrated um, laughter, celebrated storytelling. So, like dinner, I always say was never sitting at the table. One of us was always standing up, acting something out. Like, oh my gosh, this happened today. And we were like, really animated and like, and then she said, and then he said, and then this happened. And it was always like something like a story was happening all the time. And my dad actually built us a little puppet stage in our like playroom area
Oh,
and bought us puppets. We put on shows, and my grandfather gave us this like video camera, like an old one that had to be still attached to the TV. And I learned how to use it. And we made funny videos back before YouTube. I mean, we would have been famous or we would have been cyberbullied. We were not sure. But we were like always performing. My mom at one point taught us a dance that we had to do for everyone that came over ever. Yeah. So performance was like really celebrated. And I think
w-
that
wait, you had to do a dance for every person who came to your house?
yeah.
That's
So
the male people. I'm glad they didn't have Amazon back then.
I know. It was crazy. We came home one day and my mom said, "Girls, I have been working on this dance all day and you're gonna learn it." And we were like excited about it. We learned it. We didn't know we were gonna have to like on, cue, like pull out the dance and dance, it was
With
just we got
music, right? When people
yeah.
come over. Oh yeah, not
Oh yeah.
without music. That
Yeah.
would be. When did you say I want to do stand up?
Well, it kind of happened on accident. It's kind of a little bit of a funny story. Do you have a minute?
It's called Laughter for All for a reason.
That's true. So I I didn't see it coming. Like I wasn't like one. I actually was never allowed to watch comedy because I mean, back in the day, I mean, there wasn't like an comedy wasn't there wasn't a lot of clean comedy. It was all, a lot of cussing or a lot of,
Yeah.
inappropriate things. And I was, my parents were very conservative. I couldn't even watch the Smurfs. There was no chance. I was never up late enough to watch late night. So it was like, I didn't even know it existed actually. And, I I remember that my first introduction to any kind of comedy was Patsy Claremont. Do you know?
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
Yes, I
I
know
love
that.
her. My mom had gotten this like recorded message of hers, and it was just this stories, funny stories, but it was also part of a message. And we just listened to it over and over again. And I was like, I want that. I wish I could do that. I wish I could, and I just didn't even know it was a job. I just thought that's just, I didn't think other people could do it. And then one day I was at a women's retreat for my church. And I kind of was like, I went to the altar for some prayer, just about anything. And I felt like the Lord kind of tapped me on the shoulder and was like, hey, remember when I kind of, spoke a word over your life when you were younger, that you were going to be a mouthpiece for me? And I was like, Lord, I can't just go up on stage. Like, they're going to arrest me if I do that. You have to be asked, to speak. And I just thought, that's never going to happen. Like I'm off the hook. And because I was kind of afraid of that. And the next morning, my women's ministry director came up to me and said, Dory, I heard you had the ladies up laughing last night. I want you to be the next, at our next event, I want you to be an entertainment speaker. And I had zero idea what that even was. Like, I didn't know what she was talking about. And the funny thing was, I forgot to say this, but when God said, I figured I was off the hook, God said, just say yes the next time someone asks you. And I
Mm.
was like, okay, sure. Like, I'll say yes, but that will be years. No one's going to ask me to do it. And so that's what's funny about the next morning, she asked me to do it and to speak. And I said, I'll pray about it, which is Christian for no.
Yeah.
And
That's true. That's true. It's always, yeah.
and I was like, I'm definitely not doing that. And as I was driving home, God was like, remember, you told me you were going to say yes to whatever, someone asked you. So I called her back. I said, yes, I don't know what it even is, but yes, I'll do it. And it was so funny because it was 6 months out, but it was 30 minutes she asked me to do. And
Ooh, first
I
time.
was, I know, I was so naive I never saw a comedian. I didn't know you'd probably start with 3 minutes, not 30. So like God just had to download and act to me. Like, and I just kept writing things down that like seemed funny to me. And I even wake up laughing sometimes and write it down. I had like a notebook next to my bed. And God just literally put together my 30-minute act and it went well, which was a miracle in
Yeah.
itself that it went well. But
You're
I
still
think
here.
I know. I think if it went badly that first time, I never would have done it again. So God knew
I
that.
think
So
that's true, Dory. I think, I remember first time I went on stage, I did 3 minutes. I mean, 2.5. I was looking at the light and I've been on stage for so long. And if that went bad, it would have been like, okay, I tried it.
yes,
But 30 minutes, that's a lot.
I know. I mean, now I know. I didn't know at that time. I mean, it just seemed like, well, okay, like, I talk for 30 minutes, uh, you know, to other people. I didn't know it was a lot to do, comedy. And I'm sure if I was able to watch it back, I would like groan at some of the material. I mean, I'm sure it was not great, but the audience seemed to be in it. Like, so it was really fun. And that was 2006. And what's crazy was it really started like kind of word spread, I guess, that, because there wasn't a lot of clean comedy and there wasn't a lot of females doing clean comedy in
Right.
church, so it was like, word of mouth. And I ended up kind of becoming a working comedian almost immediately, like from churches, but not, yeah, like I got paid. And not that that's the end all, but I'm saying like I became a working comedian. I would consider
So
it
what
that.
was your second show? What was that like?
I'm trying to remember like what exactly. I think I just don't remember. It wasn't I mean, it was memorable, but it wasn't as memorable. So it was just another like women's group.
But did
And
you do the same exact material you did the first night or
yes, I probably did. Like
and
I
it
don't.
got laughs too?
Yeah,
That's
and like
amazing.
it was a while before I bombed. I mean, I bombed. I eventually bombed. Like there's been many times now that
Yeah,
it's
you
been like,
have to. You have to pay your dues. I mean,
yes, yes. But God was gracious for a lot of times. God, like it was like He was building my heart and confidence, and so I didn't bomb right away. But when I did, I mean, I've definitely bombed since then. But
now you were married at the time and you had two kids already.
yes, so that's what's crazy is that I had two young children. So I did feel bad about, like traveling right away. So it was like I did a lot of local things at first, and then I started flying places. But I got pregnant with my third daughter, my third child. Like I was only in it 6 months, and I got pregnant, and
Wow.
so I was like, oh my goodness, like I started this thing, and now I don't know. And I remember I did one show where I was very pregnant and didn't, I don't know why I didn't say anything. Like I should have said like something, like acknowledge the elephant in the room, which was me. But I didn't say anything. And I bet people were like, is she pregnant? Like, why is she not mentioning it? So I don't know.
I know that's awkward. If you nobody asks you, are you pregnant, right?
Yeah.
They're like, yeah, they're like, oh hi. Oh, that's funny. That's now take me through your husband's reaction and encouragement, or maybe really in the back of his head going, wait a minute, that's not what I signed up for.
Yeah.
What was that
I
like?
That's a good question too. I mean, it's good because I have an answer at this time. But he goes on well, first of all, he's super supportive of whatever I wanted to do. I could have said I want to do pottery and he would have been like, yes, we'll do pottery, but he knew I had a calling in my life, and I think he knew that I was different and very not, I think he could see it. But he actually went on this like an overnight retreat for himself. He does like these personal retreats where he'll just go for a night or whatever. And he came home, and usually it's about himself, like what God's calling father. I
Oh,
mean, he's just amazing. But he actually came with a new suitcase for me. And he said, the Lord told me to get you a suitcase because you're going to need it because you're going to be
oh,
traveling. And
oh.
then he was mad because it didn't last very long. It was not a very good suitcase, I guess. But he was like, he, he was like, why didn't this last longer?
The
I'm like,
Lord told me to get you a suitcase. Here's the
a cheap
cheapest
one.
one I could get because I really don't like. But the Lord said that. Oh, that's funny. I'm sorry, but that's great. That's a very encouraging, and that's awesome. And so how did your kids react to that? And like, Mom, I'm gonna be gone tomorrow and after tomorrow. I'll be back after, and then I'm gonna have to go back.
They were okay, so our older two, I don't know why they weren't clingy at all. They were very like I felt like I could go away for a week and I'd be like, hey, I'm back. And they'd be like, oh, hey, mom, like, I don't know why. They just weren't, they were very much able to handle it. My youngest daughter was the only one that like wouldn't go in the church nursery, or like she really was like a mama's girl. And so it was, I think, the hardest on her. So that was hard, but I think my husband gave her lots of candy or something when I left because she somehow got through it, and you know,
That's
but
fine.
because it
Now,
wasn't a long time, like it really was normally like 1 or 2 nights at a time, just because of the way I did, private events, and I didn't really master the ability to push them together and make them into like a tour, like I guess some people do. I really just, and I like to come home. I like to, it's kind of nice to it be shorter. So.
that's awesome. What does your husband do? What does he do for work?
So he is very hardworking. He has 3 positions right now. He owns a renovation company. He is a adjunct teacher at a Bible college, and
Oh,
he is a corporate chaplain for a financial firm. So a Fairchild is a great firm. Anyway, he works for them, and his boss basically hired him to minister to her staff and clients, and it's just powerful what he's been able to do through that. So
so he's busy, you're busy, and that's awesome. I mean, that's good that you feel the freedom to be able to travel and all that. Now, what is your best gig? What would be your, like when they say we want you for this, you go, wow, this is the best, my favorite thing where I can use my gifting a lot.
I love, I mean, girls' night out kind of events and that are used as outreach and as like a women's group. I think like a women's event plus outreach, like where they're inviting the community, because I think that it's so much fun. The women come in and they are ready to laugh and it makes my job easier. But I just also have fun with them. I really have legitimate fun myself. And I love to know that people are there that may never have stepped into a church outside of that, because it's intimidating, if they don't, I don't know, they may not go to church, but they might go to a girls' night out with comedy, and it brings in a lot of people. And I think too, when you laugh together, like when the women are laughing, they're just bonding. They're opening up their hearts, and actually, a lot of times I'm able to kind of do a short message at the end. I'm actually a licensed minister with the Assemblies of God, so that, not that I have to be licensed, but I'm just saying that that helps churches trust me, I guess.
Yeah.
But then I preach a little message at the end, and then it's like about hope. Usually it's about hope or about joy, and just an uplifting encouragement word. And I just think, I've had people come up to me afterwards, like at a girls' night out, and like a woman come up to me and say, I lost my husband 2 weeks ago. I wasn't going to come tonight. I couldn't imagine laughing again. And then I laughed tonight, and just thank you for, what you did, tonight. And that to me makes me feel like, so excited to be able to directly use my gift. I mean, to minister like that makes me so happy. So something I enjoy doing too.
You know what, Dory? I love what you just said, and I've been doing comedy since 1990, and I wish pastors and leaders and none understand that. I mean, you'd think by now they get it, but they still a lot of them don't get the importance of
Yeah.
people laughing together and being together and opening up to one another because they laugh together, and
Yeah.
how it lowers their guards and it allows the comedian to share the word of God with them without it. Just amazing. I appreciate what you do. This is awesome. Now you do events for younger teenage girls sometimes.
Sometimes it's not my like demographic I usually reach, only because I just know that, like a lot of stuff I talk about is stuff like mom humor, or not mom humor in a downgrade way, but like I wouldn't want at that age to probably hear about mom humor, like things about cleaning, or about things that funny kid stories. Like they might be like, why, I don't want to listen to this. So I mean, I have other material, but I'm just saying, like, that's sort of my bend. So it ends up,
Right.
I don't know if I'd want to hear my mom talk for 30 minutes if I were like 12, or
She's
13.
watching right now and she's listening to you, so
Oh,
that's
that's true.
good.
Oh, I mean, mom, I would like to listen to you, but not.
Sure. Yeah. Okay, let me just read what Alan again said. It's funny. One of the online pastors I watch has been trying to post out a new visitors. Oh, to point out to new visitor what the prayer benches are for, and that we can come up and use them at any time during the service. I keep waiting for a budding comedian to come up and grab the mic. Courage and humor are a great, teaching method on the path of the Lord. Oh, okay, that's when you were talking about how you went forward to pray, and then
Oh,
God
yes.
told you take the mic. That's
Yes.
awesome. No, that you can get arrested doing that, Alan. If you just, you're they, one time I was in an event, and a big event, I think. Corey Job was there and everybody, but I wasn't performing that night. I just went, and and then something happened with the music or the sounds in the back. They couldn't play music, and they were quiet for half an hour, and people were sitting, and these are like people from radio station manager executives and stuff. I was just dying to I was gonna just jump up just
Oh.
to kill the dead air and do some comedy. But I'm like, if I did that, I probably will be kicked out.
They
So
probably would have actually appreciated, but yeah, maybe at first they would have, jumped you. I'd be afraid someone would jump, like a security team would have, taken
now,
you out.
how old are your kids?
So I have three, and I have a son who's 21, he'll be 22 next month, and then 19, and two girls, 19 and 14.
Okay, tell me about your 14-year-old. What is it like nowadays after COVID? What is she going through and how are you dealing with it?
Oh, yeah, she uh
Let's be open because I'll be open with you too.
yeah, so I think she was really affected because I mean, she had the most online school. Um, and honestly, I was going crazy myself because I barely ever helped them with their homework. And this time I had to like sit there and I mean, just really, go back through eighth grade again. I was like, I can't even do this stuff. And the teachers were frustrated. You could tell they were, it was just, um, and I think she really struggled. We actually had a tragic death in our family of a child, and she just, we all were pretty wrecked, but she had a really hard time. It was just a hard season, and to be expected to be on a computer for 10 hours a day, like, because that's how long it would take them with to do, to learn everything. And to even type, I was laughing because I'm like, the teachers are like, well, that's a 5-minute assignment. And I'm like, they're writing a paragraph. I was like, on our side, the kids are like henpecking because they don't know how to type. So it doesn't take 5 minutes. It takes an hour because they're over there
Yeah.
henpecking, and so it's just like, oh, it was so frustrating. And I know it was frustrating for everyone. It wasn't just for, the parents or the kids. It was definitely the teachers were having a hard time too. So everyone, we pulled through, but she is definitely excited about this new school year and being able to, cheer. And, honestly, I could say something about her school. Like, they really, even through COVID, they always were trying to do the most they could do with the kids. And that's what I appreciated, that. Like, it wasn't like, oh, it's canceled. Like, they really try to do like, a different way, or like, we had some games in 2020, like football games, and that was a
Yeah.
miracle. Like, and there's a lot of schools that just, I mean, every sport was done. Now, I mean, people have different opinions about that, but I just was grateful that they were trying to make some sense of normalcy for the kids, because I think that they really had a hard time. But
You're right because I have a 14-year-old as well, and my youngest too. And it was just so difficult. I mean, really, really difficult to the point right now. We tomorrow we start school, and I put her in a Christian school. All her siblings went through public school, and they were fine. But this last year was just crazy, crazy. The kind of education they're giving them, the stress. And I was talking to someone on the plane a couple of days ago, and she's a person who deals with that. And I go, this is the anxiety and the depression. She goes, Nazareth, 75% of girls that age are going through that. And I wish, I was young again to be able to go and do the junior high and high school camps again. And it's just frustrating because you're like, I know it's gonna kill me if I go there because I cannot relate to them anymore. I mean,
right,
I
right.
can make them laugh for 5-10 minutes, but my material doesn't fit. And so I'm praying for younger people like the young Dory and the young people that are able to go out to that age group. But
Yeah.
when you write comedy, Dory, how do you start? Like, how do you come up with an idea? How do you develop it, and what is your system like, kind of?
Well, I don't know if this is normal or not, but basically, I would have a hard time if I had to just sit down and be like, come up with something funny. I would just stare at the screen. Like, it would be like I couldn't do it. But what I do is, I have a lot of fun friends, and we all, not comedian friends. I mean, I have a lot of fun comedian friends, but I'm talking about just being around my own friend, like local friends,
Uh-huh.
and hanging out, and we'll start talking, and all of a sudden we're laughing, and I'm like, and I stop in my head and say, what are we laughing about right now? And I don't write it down because I'm like, that was hilarious. We were just dying laughing together. And something, some stuff doesn't pan out. It's just like, something that's just between us. But a lot of times it's like, oh my gosh, that was so funny. And it's universally funny. And then what I'll do is, and I don't like try to work on comedy in front of people like, I'm not trying to be on all the time, but I sometimes will try to bring up like that topic will come up again. With
Nika.
another, I'll be like, well, I'll talk about it again. And I'm like, and I get animated and talk about it. And then if they're laughing, then I'm like, okay, that kind of resonated with other people too. Or, some my friends call it a Dories story. And
Mhm.
they coined that phrase, Dories Story. And I think that unfortunately, if someone's around when a Dories Story occurs, they end up hearing about it over and over again because I'll tell the story again. And I'm like, oh, I'm so sorry. You're hearing it like 17 times because, they were, they lived it and then they have to hear about it. So.
And then you go on stage and try it.
Yes,
And
yes,
then what?
yes.
Do you trim it? Do you add? How do you do that?
Yeah, so I will just kind of talk about it on stage the first time I put it up there, like kind of do like I would do it in front of my friends. And sometimes I'll like write down an actual line that I said to one of my friends that sounded like, oh, that was a funny way to say that. And I'll use that exact phrase. And then if it doesn't hit on stage, then I might change it or I might add to it because on stage something else might pop up that's funny. If they laughed at the first thing, so it kind of it's a slower process maybe. I mean, but I just couldn't just sit in front of a computer and write. I don't know. I've never been able to do that. I don't know. But it seems like more organic. I hope that, that I feel like I'm talking to my friends when I'm on stage, like to a bunch of,
Oh, I noticed that. I noticed you're just so natural up there. Now tell me, what's the funniest story that happened to you on the road or in performing or in going to a gig or leaving a gig?
So this is very recent, actually. And I just want to say that the organization I did it for was a phenomenal organization. So it's nothing on them. It was, but I've always said I'm not going to do any more outdoor events. I'm like, I'm not doing it. And I will, it's like childbirth for me, where I actually forget the pain of it and then say yes again. And then I remember, and I'm like, oh yeah, this is why I don't do outdoor events. But, it was at Six Flags outside under a pavilion, and there was a roller coaster. I was under a roller coaster, so like, so you could literally hear the roller coaster like chunk, 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 and then people screaming every few seconds. I mean, every few minutes. And then at one point, the coaster got stuck in the middle of my act. And people all got up from their seats and ran over to see what was going on. I mean, like I'm just outside. And my husband was there and he was laughing. Every time I looked at him, he's laughing. And I knew he was laughing at the situation, not at my jokes. I was like,
Right.
You're laughing at me. And at one point he said that when they opened the ice cream line, everyone just got in line right in front of me. And like,
this is a nightmare.
Yeah,
We dream of that.
No, nightmares. Well, he said it looked like you were in the ice cream line, Dory. It did not look like you were doing comedy. It looked like you were waiting for ice cream. It was brutal. Like, and it was 100 degrees. And people, I mean, had all the fans on them, like those little like portable fans you can wrap around your. I mean, so it was. I mean, and yeah. So
do you know a guy named Brian McLemore?
That's my husband.
I know. He said she's my favorite comedian. I love Dory. Let me ask you this. What do you call it? I mean, this is horrible. This is. I mean, I while you're talking in my stomach, I'm like, this is horrible. Did they pay you for that gig?
Yes.
Good.
And yes. Well.
Yeah. At the end of the day, when you think this is really going bad, you go, you know what? I'm just gonna finish my time, wait to get my ice cream and take my check and leave.
Yeah, no, that was one of those. I felt bad. I'm like, I wish I could do better, but this roller coaster is like, are you kidding? It's just, oh my gosh.
Oh, this is so funny. When we were at the CCA, you had a great, and I say that, I don't say that lightly. You had a great keynote. You spoke about your life. You talked about things. And then I think, one of the first people I went and bought 2 of your books. Yes. And your book is called, it's the devotion called Hope Looks Good on You, a comedian's joy-inducing daily devotion for women. And what do you call it? I gave one to my daughter, my 14-year-old, and I gave one to my wife. And so today, this morning, I said, oh, Dorie McLemore is going to be on my show. And they go, Dorie who? I go, okay, you didn't read the book, did you? They go, oh, no, we're going to read it. But when you write a devotion, I mean, are you, what do you call it, deliberately try to be funny, or it just comes out as you write in it?
Well, I felt like God wanted me to share stories and then bring in a biblical truth with it, because I think I personally at least learn better when I hear a story. I connect better with it. If it's just a concept like God's grace or something, and people just talk about it, it just doesn't stick. So I was like, you know what? Maybe I could, take some of my Dory stories, and then God will give me something out of that story that I can kind of, bring in the Bible and bring in something practical. And so I made a list of all the stories I thought would be fun to write out. And like some of them I perform on stage, and some are just, I have not yet done that. So I'd make a list, and then every day I wrote for 20 minutes, and I made myself at least write for 20 minutes. So sometimes I was watching the clock. I could not wait for 20 minutes to be over. I didn't want to write. But then most of the time when I did 20 minutes, I just wanted to keep writing. And so a lot of times I'd either write the funny part, like maybe I was in the mood to write the funny story. I'd look at the list and something would jump out at me, and I'm like, yeah, that's the one I'm going to write. And then some days I'd leave that story kind of written without the biblical truth. And then I would pray and I say, Lord, show me something that I would translate into something, that I could, bring a Bible story into it, or a biblical truth into it. And he just kept bringing it, and I was like, okay, I'll just, and another day I'd write the biblical part and the journaling. And, it's funny. I think it's John Maxwell that's written over 40 books. And I remember him saying at a conference one time, he said, I didn't set out to write 40 books, but when you write every day for a little bit, it turns into 40 books. And I really resonated with that. And I was like, I want to be a writer, so I'm going to write every day, and it'll turn into books. It doesn't happen that easily, but there is a process, but I think it eventually, it has to come out. And, it was just what I thought the Lord was telling me to do, especially during 2020. That's when I actually wrote the bulk of the book. Because I was, like we were all kind of without work, and the Lord was, tapped me on the shoulder and said, when are you going to write that book that I wanted you to write? And I said, Lord, it's 2020 and I'm in a bad mood this year, and I just I do not want to write this book on hope, So but I decided, that I would be obedient and I would start it. And God just kept, showing up in my times. I had this spot on my couch that was in our loft, and I would just sit there and I love the writer life. I had my coffee, and I had, lots of coffee and Diet Coke, and I would write. And, coffee shops, when they open, we're open, so I just felt like, man, I like this, even though I am an extrovert though. So COVID almost killed me. Seriously, I was not COVID, I'm sorry. The lockdowns, everything almost killed me. So I was very grateful for that book. God gave me an outlet. I accidentally started a blog. It was totally on accident. I was playing around with the system, and I was eventually going to do a blog, but I accidentally, I hit publish, and I forgot that I had put this thing in place where it would send out to all my subscribers whatever I hit publish. But I thought I was just playing around, see what it looked like, and I put this silly picture of this puppet on my screen, and I had hit publish just because I pulled something out of my camera roll, and I sent it to over 200 people. And I was like, oh my gosh. So then I had to explain, why did I just send you a picture of a puppet? Nothing else. There was nothing else in this post. And so I said, I guess I'm starting a blog today. So I wrote a blog post and I sent it, and was I was kind of apologizing for the weird puppet picture I just sent you. But actually one of my stories ended up being about my days in the puppet making club in college. And so I used that as a biblical, I brought in a biblical concept and just sent it out.
If God came to you, Dory, in your quiet time and said, Dory, one wish, I'm going to do it right now. One wish, what would it be?
Oh, that is crud. That is a good question. Okay, this is going to sound silly, but I want to be a rich grandma one day. So I would like, I keep telling God that. I'm like, look, Lord, I need to be a rich grandma. Like, I don't want to be a regular grandma. I want to be a rich one. I want to be able to see my grandkids and spoil them rotten. Like, that is my my one wish. So,
That's funny. That's funny. Now, if you can only pick one, a writer, a woman speaker, or a comedian, if you only have to pick one, what would it be?
oh, I don't think I could get comedy out of my system. I don't think I
Okay,
could stop doing it. So
you're a
that would
comedian.
be the hardest
You're a
part.
true comic. You're a true comic. That's good. That's the same thing here. I would not. I would. Okay, there you speak a lot to women's group, and you that's your favorite part. Now, in your women's group, there's always single women. What do you say to them? How do you encourage them?
Hmm. That is hopefully I feel like sometimes I need to make sure that I am reaching them a little bit better because when I talk about my husband or my kids, I know that there are people that are very happy in their singleness and some people that are very bitter about being single. Like maybe some of my husband material will help, if they feel like
Oh, I'm glad I'm not married. Is that it?
right. Maybe they're like, oh, actually, I've been doing great. So maybe I encourage them in their singleness in that way. But I feel bad sometimes. Like maybe I'm not hitting that. But I do have people come up to me that are younger even and thank me at the end of the show. Like that they laughed about something. So I'm hoping that I am, still, I think I've heard that I'm kind of universal in my topics so that I think that hopefully it is still ministering to those, that demographic. But I probably am not going to get invited to a singles group to do that, and I might even discourage it, and say, well, I'm not sure I'm the best one, but I will do it, but it's not.
Were your parents believers?
Yeah. So we grew up in a home that didn't really actually, okay, this is the funny beginning here. My aunt was a belly dancer
Oh,
and my family
hey,
was not
my people. I'm Middle Eastern.
we were not from a saved home. Like nobody was saved in our family until my aunt was a belly dancer and someone told her to she was looking for an exotic name for herself, like something that was, flashy, I guess, for her stage
Yeah.
name. And someone said, look in the Bible. And there's a lot of exotic names in there. And she started reading the Bible and she said that the words popped off the pages. And literally she got like saved herself, like by herself, the Lord, like the word
Oh
of
my
God
God.
just saved, like, she found the Lord or the Lord found her. And she worked on, like, kind of told the whole family, just talked about the Lord. And it took a year for my mom to accept Christ. And then my mom took me and my sisters to a little vacation Bible school for kids. I was, I think, 6 or something around there. And we loved it. I mean, it was so fun. They gave us candy and prizes and we loved it. I loved Jesus. And we didn't know, I mean, and we came home and we sang all the songs and we, and my dad was really struggling at that point. And but he saw the way that we, the joy in our lives, like the change in our family. And
Mm.
he decided to get saved. And so basically all of us got saved almost around the same time. And we were all baptized in a lake together. And all I remembered about that day was I lost my flip flop in the lake. And that's
That's the
but it was
price
great.
of salvation for you.
No
Uh,
more flip.
did you get to a point later where you have to make? Did you stray back? You went backslid, came back, or did you? Was there a moment where you, as an adult or a young adult, said, "Okay, now this is my faith now."
Yeah, so I think, well, for one, I was kind of a goody two shoes. I was not the kid. I was the one getting the other kids in trouble, like the hall monitor, kind of like I was just like always like wanting to do everything perfectly. And so I wasn't a kid that went into drugs or I don't have that interesting testimony. It's like all kind of, I took crayons from my next door neighbor. I mean, like, it was very, but I remember when I entered the youth group, I remember having to make a decision. And I really felt like, we went on like a winter retreat and the Lord just really touched my life on that retreat. And I remember coming back because I was getting into the point where I was really starting to worry about what other kids were saying about me. I was made fun of a lot. I was very bullied because I think I was very I was just a different kid. I don't know. I was very inquisitive. I asked a lot of questions. I was annoying. I don't know. I was weird. And my dad, I love him to death, but I begged him to give me a perm. And I had very short hair. And the summer before I started a new school, I begged him to give me a perm because my dad was an engineer and he could figure it out.
Wait,
And
wait,
he,
wait. You asked an engineer dad to give you a perm. You didn't
yes,
go to your mother.
no.
You went, oh, lovely.
My
Okay.
dad said I could do it. He could because he said he could figure. I mean, yeah. So he gave me a perm, and I looked. I mean, crazy. And so I started a new school with this bad perm. I mean, it
Ah,
wasn't bad. He did a great job. It was just super tight. I mean, he did the tightest rollers. It was like, oh my gosh,
that's
how bad I
funny.
looked. But I started the school, and I was very bullied, and I went through a lot of that stuff. And then my identity was just, I think messed with that. But then I ended up really giving my life to the Lord when I was 13, like myself. And all of a sudden I didn't really care about what other kids thought about me. Like I started professing my faith at school. I started Bible clubs and prayer groups and like things like that because I loved bringing my friends to church. It was my favorite thing. And so I think that, not that I didn't struggle. Oh my gosh, I did, I dated some bad boyfriends. I did like, some crazy stuff, but nothing like, you know, against the law, I guess. Nothing, that would.
Right. It says here, let's see. You started a blog, features some of the stories in your devotional book and news stories. For your upcoming, currently unnamed book. What does that look like?
Yeah. So I finished my book. I published it in 2021, like mid-year. And actually on April Fool's Day, because I thought that'd be fun to release a book on April Fool's Day
And
as a
it made it to
comedian.
Amazon bestseller, right?
Yes,
That's
yes.
amazing.
Thank you. And then I started immediately almost right. I mean, after I really, marketed that book or like, worked on that, I kept writing every, 20 minutes a day and I started writing my next book. And at that point I was also working on my blog. So I was, posting a lot of those up to my blog. So I did take a sabbatical this summer from writing. Just I was traveling a lot with family. So it's about time to start back up though. So I'm excited.
So you said listeners can get a free 3-day devotional or subscribe to your blog on your website, dorycomedy.com.
Yes.
Uh, I want to talk about Huckabee. You're gonna be on Huckabee on September 8th, which
Yes.
probably will air on the 9th and the 10th of September. Are you ready for your 6 minutes?
I'm very excited about it. I am doing a lot of events coming up this next few weeks. So it'll be exciting to work on and like, make sure I'm got a good that tight time. So it'll be fun.
They say 6 minutes, but it's five and a half, and then half a minute talking to the governor. So let me
Yeah.
say, okay, speak to a mother, a wife, someone who's watching right now. Either they don't have a close relationship with the Lord, or they're either going, I'm done with this marriage, or they're going, I'm tired of being a mother. I wasted my life. I need to focus on me and do that. Just whatever God puts in your heart in the next few minutes, take your time, speak to someone, because there'll be thousands of people who hear this maybe next week, the week after, next year, the
Awesome.
year after. So take it from me.
Okay. Well, I'd like to say, you know, I I feel like a lot of people, especially since all that we've been through in the last few years, have been walking around hope bankrupt. And I just think that the Lord wants to, I got this picture of this buoy floating around in the water and how, because I think what was happening to me in 2020 was that I was getting just blown by the waves, just constantly, just the waves were crashing on me. I was being pulled out to sea. And I think a lot of people struggle, a lot of moms, especially, and women, we tend to like carry our burdens instead of casting them. So I mean, everything it was just like piling up and anxiety and the fear. And I think that, the Lord was showing me this, like, I don't, when are you basically asked me, when are you going to stop just being letting the waves crash on you and letting yourself be dragged out to sea. Why don't you anchor yourself in me? Anchor yourself. And I learned a little bit about a buoy. I didn't know a lot about buoys, I guess, but that they are actually anchored down deep into the seabed. And that's why, they can, they're flotation devices, but they're not going to go anywhere because they are anchored down. And it doesn't mean that their waves aren't coming and that the waves don't, they don't ride, but they ride on top of the waves and they don't get pulled out. And I felt like the Lord was saying, that I need to anchor myself in him, and that, we can't put our hope in. I think something we learned, at least I learned over this last few years, is we don't put our hope in people. We can't put our hope in circumstances, because things can change on us and things will disappoint us. But when we put our hope in the Lord, and because he's hope worthy, he's trust. I don't know if that's a word, hope worthy, but I made it up. And he is worthy of our, putting our hope in and our trust in. And when we do that, we're not going to get just drawn out to sea, and we're not going to drown, because he is strong enough to carry us. And so I think that that's so important to, and something else I see, I think I see in like a story or picture. I think that I was shopping for a car during some of this, not last year, I don't know when I was doing it, but and all of a sudden all I saw was these cars. Like I love GMC Acadias, and I kept seeing them everywhere. And I realized that they didn't just suddenly show up in my life around me because I was thinking about them, but I suddenly was aware of them. They were always there. And I think about, when we focus on the negative, we're going to see negative. We're going to see that it's always there. And there's always negative things to be worried about or anxious about. But when we focus on hope and our hope in the Lord, suddenly we're going to see things in a hopeful light. And it's always there. The hope is always there, but we will see it if we have our, eyes on it and focus on that.
Awesome. That's awesome. Dory is a very, very funny comedian. She's an ordained minister, and she is, I'm speaking to every pastor's wife, to every ministry leader. She would be wonderful to have at your church, at your girls' night out, at your, sometimes women's conferences when they do it. It just what a great person to bring, two in one, a comedian and a speaker. Instead of having to get two airline tickets, two honorariums, and two people to deal with, you can have Dory come in, make them laugh on the first night, and then make them laugh again and the next day, and speak to them as a keynote speaker. So I want to encourage you as a pastor or leader and someone to go to Dorie Comedy, DORIE comedy.com, DorieComedy.com, and be able to get her to come to your church. And ladies, please, tell your pastor's wife, tell your ministry leader, hey, we need to get Dorie here. We need to laugh. And this, we've been going through a lot of hard times and COVID. We need to laugh. And so invite her to your event. Dorie, we have best of, not luck. We don't believe in luck. We believe in God's blessing on the Huckabee show. You will get a work from it. You will get a lot of responses from it. So be there, be ready, and hopefully we'll get to work together soon.
Yeah, I would love that. It's been an honor to be here. Thank you so much.
And say thank you to your husband and your kids for allowing you to be with us today.
Yes, thank you, honey. Thank you, sweethearts. I love you, and thank you for letting me be on here tonight. And I'm actually borrowing my daughter's room, so.
Well, God bless you. Thank you so much. All right, and thank you guys for watching and listening. And I appreciate that you guys been so gentle with me not being able to do the live with Nance because of family time and traveling and all that. And I'm not sure about tomorrow if I can do it, or Thursday. We'll see. But and then Friday, Saturday, and Sunday I am in DC. So I love you guys. Thank you so much for watching. If you can go to Huckabee.tv, you can watch my my 5.5 minutes on there. And love you guys. Thank you for watching. Please subscribe to this. Let your friends know. And if you were blessed tonight, let your friends know about the podcast, and we'll see you next time. Thank you and good night. All righty. And thank you.